Sri Sai Ram. Dear students, welcome back. We have almost reached to the last part of the chapter where we had been discussing about the heating effects of electric current. Let's have a look. So this is where we have ended our discussion in the last lecture. Very few applications of heating effect of current had been discussed. So one was electric iron. We have seen how electrical energy is converted to heat energy and the heat is retained. Similarly, the filament of the electric bulb. Now what is the main property? Suppose we take electric iron or filament, or the main interesting property is the resistivity of these elements is very high, and therefore what happens, naturally the resistance goes up and then the heat also. So the more resistance, more heat is generated, and because of the heat, since the material should not melt away, these are the materials with very large melting points. So yesterday we had seen what would be the approximate melting point of the filament in the tungsten, filament of tungsten. Similarly, fuse. So fuse has altogether a different purpose. So it should have a low melting point so that any excess current passes more than the desired current. What happens? It melts and breaks the circuit. So the filament of the tungsten, the filament of the bulb, that is the material called tungsten, is having different melting point and a different resistivity. Similarly, the wires that are used in the fuse, they should have a different melting point and their resistivities, their resistances are different. So these are the few applications which we had discussed in the last class, and then we also have seen a particular way of solving. So generally whenever we are solving problems related to series and parallel circuits, we have listed out 4 main steps so that the procedure becomes easier for us. So yesterday we have solved the same numerical by following all the 4 steps, and today we will see an alternative method. Not that only in those 4 steps we have to follow always while we are solving numericals. Those 4 steps are like the guidelines for us. Suppose over a period of time, as you are solving more and more numericals, we get a grip on the numerical part of this chapter, and then we will know which step to follow, which we have to leave it. So till then those 4 steps will be useful like a guideline for us. And let's see any other alternative method. For example, look at this numerical. We have seen one way of solving it. Let's see the other way in which we solve it now. So the question goes thus: in the circuit diagram given, R1, R2, R3 are having the values 5 ohms, 10 ohms and 30 ohms respectively, and they are connected to a battery of 12 volts. They are asking us to calculate the current through each resistor, the total current in the circuit and total circuit resistance. Now suppose we are going by the 4 steps. It says that first we calculate resistance, then we go to the total current, and then we go to the individual current. So as per our steps, so first we do this and then go here and then arrive here. But the questions asked are different. Initially they are asking what are the individual currents, and then what is the total current, the effective resistance. Now one thing is clear, that this is a parallel circuit, because the question itself, in the question it's mentioned that 3 resistors are connected in parallel. So one way, traditional way of solving, step 1, 2, 3, 4 we have seen yesterday. Let's see the other way now. Straight away the solution. So what are they asking us now? The first one, individual currents they are asking, which means 12 volts is the supply voltage. What will be the voltage across the resistor 1? It will be 12 volts, because in parallel every resistor gets the same voltage as the source voltage. Again here also 12 volts, resistor is different, 12 volts, resistance is different. Now we all know Ohm's law, VIR. So this is the mnemonic diagram. So I want the individual current. I know the voltage, I know the resistance here. Now we are interested in calculate. So voltage is known, resistance is known. What is the current we are wanting to find out? So what do? I know V, I know R, just divide them. So I1 will be V by R1, that is 12 by 5, 2.4 amperes I1. I2 will be what? V by R2, 12 by 10, that is 1.2 amperes. I3, V by R3, 12 by 30, it will be 0.4 amperes. Now we have calculated the individual currents. So the total current that is coming like this, the total current that is coming, so part of it goes here I1, I2, and then this is I3. So these are the three currents for us now. So this is I1 flowing here, I2 flowing through the R2, I3 flowing through R3. Now, if I want the total current, what do we do? Total current I is nothing but the sum of individual currents, because in parallel connection we see that the total current gets divided as individual current. So therefore, when I add up all of them, 2.4 amperes plus 1.2 amperes plus 0.4 amperes, I will get 4 amperes. So this is the final value that we get. The total current is 4 amperes, which is getting distributed into 3 branches as 2.4, 1.2 and 0.4. And we have seen, since the resistance is smaller here, the current is more. Since the resistance is largest here, 30, the current flowing is less, because I is inversely proportional to R. Greater resistance, smaller current. Smaller resistance, greater current. So we have seen, and total current we have calculated. Now, effective resistance they are asking, which means there are 3 individual resistances now. Combined, what is that combined R effective they are asking. Now, we know from Ohm's law that R effective or the total resistance is total voltage by total current. So this is our total current now. So what is the total voltage? 12 volts divided by, what is the total current now? It will be 4 amperes. 4 3s are 12, so 3 ohms. So the total effective resistance is 3 ohms. So yesterday we started with calculating R effective first, then we went to the total current, step 3, and then step 4 we have found out all these 3. Now today what did we do? Alternatively, just because they have asked us directly what are the individual currents, I started away by calculating individual currents. Once I get the individual values, I just add them up so that I get the total current. Once I know the total current, I know the total voltage, I can calculate total resistance or the effective resistance. So all 3 resistors put together or connected together in parallel will give me final resistance of 3 ohms. So this is the alternative method. So like this, whenever you are taking up solving numericals in series and parallel circuit, what do we do? So we generally follow all the 4 steps. So step 1, identify whether it is series or parallel. Step 2, once you have identified, calculate the effective resistance. Step 3, calculate the total current. Step 4, if it is series, calculate the individual voltages across each resistor. And if it is parallel, calculate the individual currents. So yesterday we have done that. Now alternatively, like this also we can do. Similarly in series also alternative methods are there. So few more numericals will be taking up in the next few slides. So let's go to the next topic. Electric power and electrical energy. So yesterday we have seen what is electric power, we have defined. So in general, what do you mean by power? The rate at which the energy is being dissipated or the rate at which the work is being done. So electrical power will be the same thing. It's defined as the rate at which the electrical energy is dissipated or rate at which the electrical work is done. So by definition, we see that the rate at which electrical energy is dissipated or consumed in an electric circuit is called electric power. And yesterday, while arriving at the Joule's law expression, Joule's law of heating, we have seen that power is given by product of V and I. Suppose you know the voltage, suppose you know the current flowing through the individual resistor. So, multiplying voltage and current will give us what is the electric power. Now, what do we do? Power is equal to V into I. Now, there are three parameters. V, I and R are the three crucial parameters, of course with time. Now, out of three, suppose I know only, like I know V and I use this formula. Suppose I know I and R, V is not given. How do I substitute for V? So, power is V into I, V will be I into R. I know only I and R, I do not know V. So, therefore, I substitute V as I into R into I. So, what do I get? I square R. So, this is also the expression for power. Once I simplify this, I get I square R. Similarly, the power is given by V into I, and then I know V, I do not know I, and I know only the resistance value. So, V and R are known, I do not know what is the current. Even then we can simplify. From Ohm's law, I is equal to V by R. So, therefore, V square by R. All these three, whatever we are seeing here, power is V into I square R, V square by R. All the three are one and the same. All these expressions are same. So, if I know voltage and current, I use this. If I know current and resistance value, I go to the next formula. If I know voltage and resistance, I go to the third formula. Whichever way we calculate, the expression, the value what we arrive at is one and the same. So, let us look at the slide now. So, power, there are three expressions. Now, we know that power into time will be nothing but energy. So, therefore, the three expressions what we have arrived at, so those when you multiply with time, so left hand side there is power, right hand side there are expressions now. So, both sides I multiply by time. So, P into T, which is nothing but the energy, will be VIT or I square RT or V square by R into T. So, one side we have three expressions for electric power and the other side we have three expressions for electrical energy. Now, let us see the SI units. The SI unit of electric power is watt, W-A-T-T. 1 watt is nothing but 1 joule per second, because we see that power basically is defined as work done by time. So, the SI unit of work done, we know what is the SI unit of work done, it is joule by the SI unit of time is second. So, therefore, 1 joule per second is called 1 watt power. So, power is work done by time. So, do not confuse this W. So, there are formulae relating to the parameters. So, I know the parameter called electric power, there is a parameter work done, this is time. And also this is a formula relating to the units. So, never confuse a formula relating to the physical parameters to the formula related to the units. Here it is time, but what is the unit of time? Second. Work done, joule, this is watt, W-A-T-T, watt is the unit of power. So, formulas are there related to the physical parameters. These formulas are relating the SI units now. So, if we see, we have the SI unit of electric power is watt, which is nothing but 1 joule per second, and the SI unit of electrical energy we know it is joule. But what happens? Commercial unit comes into play now, because generally the power consumed is in kilowatts, because day to day suppose machines or components are used for a longer time. What will happen? Generally we do not measure the time in seconds. So, the time is calculated, or the time it runs for the machine runs is given in hours, and unit watt is very small. So, therefore, kilowatts is the more convenient unit. It is like instead of calling 10,000 meters, we call it 10 kilometers. So, it is about the convenience. The same way unit watt is very small. So, therefore, kilowatt, and in day to day life time is expressed in hours. So, therefore, instead of talking of energy in joules, which is nothing but 1 watt into 1 second, we talk in terms of kilowatt hour. So, let us see now. Look at this. So we get this now. Electrical energy is nothing but power into time. Suppose I am talking of the smaller units, energy is expressed in joules. 1 joule is 1 watt into 1 second. But suppose I use, the component is using something like kilowatts and time is 1 hour. So what should this energy be now? So 1 kilowatt is how many watts? 1000. Kilo is 1000. So 1000 watts into 1 hour is 3600 seconds. So it will be 3.6 into 10 to the power of 3 is this, into this 1000 is 10 to the power of 3 again, watt second. So 3.6 into 10 to the power of 6, the whole thing, 1 watt second is nothing but 1 joule. So kilowatt hour is the larger unit of energy, a commercial unit of energy, and 1 kilowatt hour, the conversion factor is 1 kilowatt hour is 3.6 into 10 to the power of 6 joules. It is like 1 kilogram, a larger unit is 1000 times the smaller unit gram. So we write 1 kilogram is 1000 grams. So kilogram is also a unit, gram is also a unit. It is a smaller unit, it is a larger unit. Now how do we compare them? So this unit of one larger unit is these many times the smaller unit. Similarly, 1 kilowatt hour, the larger unit is these many times, that is 3.6 into 10 to the power of 6 times the smaller unit of energy, which is joule. Let us have a look at the slide now. So the calculation is shown there. So instead of talking in watt and second, we talk it in kilowatt and hour. So 1 kilowatt hour is 1 kilowatt into 1 hour, which I have just arrived at the conclusion now. So therefore 1 kilowatt hour is 3.6 into 10 to the power of 6 joules. Larger unit is these many times, that is 3.6 into 10 to the power of 6 times the smaller unit. So with this, and then there are also numericals. How do we calculate the electrical energy? Suppose, how do you calculate the electricity bill of your house? So there are, like say for example, there are 4 fans that are running, there are around 10 tube lights that we are going to use, and then there is a fridge is there, AC is there. Now put together how much bill, what is the cost? So these kind of numericals will be taking up in the last module, which is the next lecture. So with that we will be winding up the discussion, and let us have a look at the whole concept of electricity right from the beginning. Let us see this now. So these are the 3 important parameters now. So we started defining what are charges. So basically we spoke of charges now, and then what are electric charges. Now suppose those charges are moving. So in this electricity chapter we are talking of moving charges or electric currents now. So what is electric current? What makes the current move? That is the voltage we have spoken of. What stops or resists the flow of current? We have spoken of resistance. So these are the 3 main ingredients. If you look at this carefully, so V, I and R, these are the 3 main individual parameters we started with. Now we also had a little more detailed discussion on what is this resistance actually, and then how are these 3 related to what is Ohm's law. We have seen more of resistance, what is resistivity, and then what are the factors on which the resistance depends. So we have completed some decent discussion on about the topic of resistance. So some discussion we had about resistance, and then suppose there are series of resistors for us now, which means there are series of components, that is the load we talk of. So resistor or load, so in the connection, circuit connection, we call it in terms of load. So fan is a resistor and it's also called a load. So when these resistors are connected, suppose they are connected in series, so what will happen? Suppose they are connected in parallel, what will happen? How will the individual parameters change? In series circuit, what is remaining constant? How will the current remain? How will the voltage remain across each resistor we have seen? The same is the case with the parallel resistors also. And then finally we have come to this concept of electric power and electrical energy. How much energy is consumed? Suppose I am having a component now, like fridge is there, refrigerator, AC is there, air conditioner. Now how much energy it is consuming? How much am I paying for that now? So that will be dealt with this concept of electrical power and electrical energy. Now have a detailed look at this now. So the whole chapter electricity, so these are the definitions which you are expected to remember correctly. What is electric current, what is voltage, what is resistance, what is resistivity, what is electric power, what is electric energy. So we have seen whenever we study any concept, so there are three ways to that. One is experimentally, how do we see that? The second one is theoretically, how do we define, just by theory, how do we define this? And then numerically, how do we calculate these values? So till now we have seen, so we have not actually seen how do we conduct the experiments in these modules. So what we have seen, how do we theoretically define them, and in day to day, how do we calculate them numerically? So these are the things which you have to see, look for. So whenever you are reading this chapter now, so understanding is one part. So whenever you are studying in detail, so all these definitions you need to see, and then let's see what formula and SI units are there. So we have the formula and units which are to be remembered are for electric current, electric voltage, electrical resistance, resistivity, electric power, electrical energy. So for all these parameters, we need to know what are the formulae, respective formula, and what are the SI units. And then the conversion, 1 kilowatt hour, just now we have seen, is how many joules. And then the third part, we come to the derivations and miscellaneous. Let's see what are the derivations in this chapter. The statement, of course, see Ohm's law statement you need to remember correctly. At a constant given temperature, the potential difference across the ends of a resistor or component is directly proportional to the current flowing through it. Okay. So the statement of Ohm's law, the expression you need to remember, and the graph you need to remember. How does the Ohm's law graph look? Suppose we are having voltage on x-axis, current on the y-axis, how will the graph look? It will be a straight line graph. And the second one, we have seen how do we derive, suppose in series circuit, what will be the effective resistance when series of resistors are connected end to end, and what will be the effective resistance if they are connected in parallel. And we have taken a few numericals when we are discussing these concepts. And finally, the statement for Joule's law of heating and the mathematical expression. So the whole chapter electricity when you want to study, so these are the definitions which you are expected to know. These are the formula and SI units you are expected to know correctly. And these are the derivations or the statements, etc. you are expected to know. Let's see. So this is where we started with electric charge. So this is like one more way of getting back to the basics, like from the beginning we are seeing. So electric charges, current, when the charges flow, we have current which is generated. What makes the charges flow? The difference, the pressure difference what we spoke of, it's not actually pressure, something like, it's the energy, the barrier, how it is created. So unless there is one side which is maintained at high, the other side which is maintained at low, we will not be able to know what is high and what is low. So therefore the voltage is creating the difference. The drift of the current is because of the voltage. So one side is maintained at constant higher potential, the other side is at a lower potential. So therefore because of these differences, the energy difference. And how did we define voltage? We know V is equal to W by Q, the work done to move unit charges. And then we spoke of what is resistance. Basically we define it as opposition to the flow of electric charge. So these three parameters we have seen, and then we have also seen Ohm's law, which is relating all the three parameters. Ohm's law is the expression, the mathematical expression is V is equal to I into R. It relates the voltage, current and resistance. So mainly for the current to flow, there are two parameters or factors. Voltage, which enhances the movement of the electrons, and resistor or resistance is the property which tries to oppose the movement of electrons. So this is where we have arrived. So after discussing what is V, what is I, what is R, we have seen combined all of them into one formula, that is the Ohm's law. And in the process we have also taken their SI units, we have defined these parameters. Now when we spoke of resistance, we have seen the factors on which the resistance depends. There are four main factors. We have seen the nature of the material, we have seen it depends on the length, it depends on area of cross section, it depends on the temperature and so on. Mainly resistance depends on length, area and nature of the material. So one kind of materials which are having lesser resistance and therefore they allow more easily the current to flow through them, these are called electrical conductors. And there are other class of materials like wood, plastic, etc. These will resist the flow of current because resistance, the nature of the material, resistivity is high for them. So therefore what will happen? Resistance is high and current flowing through them is low. And in the resistance, the second thing we have seen is how do we connect different resistors. One way of connection is series way of connection, end to end. Series way of connection means all the resistors are lined up. So one end of the resistor is connected to the other end of the resistor. In parallel, all one ends are connected to one potential, the higher potential, all the other ends are connected, maintained at a different potential. So every resistor gets the same amount of voltage or potential difference. So this is the second module we have seen, series way of connection and parallel way of connection. And we also know why is series advantages, why is it disadvantages, what are the pros and cons of parallel connection. And the last one, resistivity versus resistance. We have seen resistivity is nothing but just the nature of the material. It will decide whether it is a conductor or insulator or semiconductor, as we study later. Given a material, if I know the resistivity value, I can tell whether it will allow the current to flow through it easily or no. But resistance is different. Suppose I have 10 meters of copper wire and I have a small copper piece in my hand, a copper blade in my hand. What will happen? For both of these, I know this copper also conducts, the other copper also, 10-meter long copper wire also conducts. So for both of them, the resistivity value is same. But we know that if we calculate the resistance of 10 meters of copper wire, the resistance is more and the resistance for the small blade of copper is less. So resistance depends on the external parameters. Resistivity is more to do with the quality. So resistance is to do with the quantity of the material. Resistivity is the quality of the material. So a small blade of copper and a large wire, a thick diameter, wire with thick diameter and longer length of copper, both will have the small blade and the copper wire, both of them they are having same resistivity. But resistance is different for both of them depending on the external shape, size, length, area and so on. And then we have seen this. Finally, what is electrical energy, the three expressions for that, what is electric power, and then in the next module, we will be checking how do we calculate electrical energy for any given appliance. What will be the energy consumed in units of kilowatt hour. And with this, we will be winding up this particular module, and in the next module, we will take up few numericals and other related issues. So with this, we conclude our discussion in this particular lecture, and in the next lecture, which is the last lecture for this chapter, we will be taking up few other related queries. Sai Ram and thank you.